Hi, my name is Monica Kretschmer, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Woman of Inspiration Awards, and this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast, where we speak with women who lead, inspire, and motivate. Today, we are honored to have and welcome Jen Kattula. She is the CMO for Microsoft Advertising. Jen leads global marketing for Microsoft Advertising, driving growth and innovation at the forefront of AI and transformative technology. Her career spans leadership roles at Microsoft, Meta, and Polygon Labs, where she has helped shape some of the world's most influential platforms and brands. But before the C-suite titles, Jen was an engineer. At the heart of everything that she does is one word, and that's builder. She believes in building, testing, learning, improving, and never waiting for permission. Jen, welcome to the Woman of Inspiration podcast. We are so excited to dive into your journey and learn about your leadership philosophy, your lessons that have impacted your remarkable career, and the intersection of AI, humanity, and impact. Listeners, get ready to be inspired.
It's great to be here, Monica. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So let's dive in. I know I have a bunch of questions. We're going to use our time well today, but when I was chatting with you in the green room, it really sparked a thought in my mind. I really wanted to know what 10-year-old or 12-year-old Jen wanted to be when she grew up. So maybe take us back there. I mean, we know that you're now CMO of a very large company, but what did that 12-year-old Jen want to be when she was a young girl?
Absolutely. I grew up in the 80s and I wanted to be an astronaut. I was obsessed with everything space camp. If you grew up in the 80s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think I was just so inspired by doing things that have never been done before.
Mhm.
And like you said in my introduction, I am a builder at heart. So I think like the way my brain works is really logical. It's a very systems oriented. And I have always gravitated towards problem solving in that way.
Mm.
Like you said, I studied engineering. I coded in my first couple of jobs out of college, building websites and databases. So that like early bit of trying to wanting to do something that is like really hard, and most people don't do. And of course, I didn't actually go to space camp, but I did buy the freeze-dried ice cream. So that is my story from way back then.
So those rooms way back then, I'm just imagining. I mean, I grew up in I was 71, right? So we're kind of in the same era, but those rooms were really rooms for boys. We didn't see a
Mhm.
lot of women, and we still don't see a lot of women in those rooms. More and more we do. But back then, what was that like? Who influenced you to sort of navigate that path?
Do you know, I was in probably middle school or high school, and I remember reading about Marie Curie.
Mm.
And she was a scientist, and that probably was one of the reasons I ended up choosing chemical engineering as my major at school. But the the rooms were not full of women. The rooms in the engineering college at the University of Michigan, they were not full of women. Um, Certainly when I started in my technical career as an engineer, it was mostly men. But I think the person that influenced me, and I know we're going to get to a lot of the support hers later in the show, it was my mom. Like she was never afraid to go build things. And I remember growing up, she built our back deck. Like she was very crafty and good with her hands. And she was never afraid to like just go figure it out and do it. And and I think the way she approached life really like impacted me a lot because I, I also wasn't afraid. Like
Mm.
being an engineer wasn't, it was just like, obviously, you're going to be an engineer, obviously. And obviously, you're going to go into tech. And those things were sort of just assumed. It wasn't like, oh, you don't belong here. So I never felt like I didn't belong, but I did often feel in those rooms that my voice wasn't very loud. Like
Mm.
the men they were louder in those rooms, and I had to build a lot of confidence and figure out like how to be me and still do what I love to do and what I
Mm.
love to build. And I would say it's like an ongoing journey, because you're constantly in a state of self-discovery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really love that. And I was going to ask you later on the show, like, who are those women that were your role models? And like your mom just picking up the hammer and actually building a deck. Like, I do that. And it just seems like I know how to do a lot of things that I don't actually share. I know how to do just because I don't want to actually do them sometimes. And so I'm like, I can do a lot of things that boys do or more things that boys do that I can do. Anyways, you understand what I'm
Yes.
saying. And
Yes,
I keep that to
100%.
myself because I'm pretty handy and I love Home Depot, right? But I don't share that all the time because I don't want that expectation. I still like people to do things for me.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I think my second career will be making things with my hands,
Oh gosh, I
for sure.
like a builder. Like,
Yeah.
I love homes and yeah, in my next life, I'd be a home builder.
Yeah, it's super it's fun to make things with your hands. So I appreciate all. I don't know if I appreciated it as much growing up because it was just
Mm.
normal. But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, oh God, I can do things. I can't do as many things as she can. However, I still have a long time to learn those things.
And what is your mom's name?
My mom's name is Barb.
Barb, if you're
Barb.
listening, happy Mother's Day.
Oh, I know she passed away a couple of years ago.
Oh,
I
well, then if she's
know.
listening, she's going to be
Yeah, she's
listening. She's
listening.
going to be
She's
listening.
listening. She's listening. Yeah.
She's with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was meant to come today. Your mom
Yeah.
was meant to be here with us.
Yes.
Uh, And you talk about you being a builder. And so truly, what does that mean to you? Like just, as a builder, like
Like,
what
what is a builder?
what is a builder? Like if you could put a word, like just, you
Yes.
know, come and own that.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about this because it's like I think you build things, obviously, but part of my identity as a marketing leader is I want to be able to show up to the people around me as a true practitioner of my craft, where I actually know how to do the things.
Mm.
Even though I'm leading a large team, even though I've led really large teams in other companies, it's important to me to be able to say I can do this. I can write the memo. I can build the campaign. I can look at the creative. I'm actually not a creative, so I will leave that to the experts. But I can really get my hands dirty. And so when I think about what is a builder is someone
Mm.
who is willing to get their hands dirty and tinker in these in whatever way you want to describe it. But the way I'm doing it today is with AI, and I am tinkering and learning. And what I think is so exciting is that it's the most empowering time right now for people that
Mm.
are not super technical and have an idea that they want to see the light of day.
Mm.
And that's really exciting. And I think most people are like this, like human beings, they want their ideas to like go from their head out into the world. And I'm a marketer, and all marketers, I can say this with 100% certainty, we want our work and our creativity to see the light of day. And oftentimes, especially when you're working in a big company, like you have lots of ideas, but a fraction of them will see the light of day. And
Mm.
in this world where you can build on your own, you can actually prototype things, you can streamline your work, you can improve quality. There's so many ways in which you can apply it to your day-to-day life, and it all comes down to the human ingenuity in your brain where your passion is, and combining it with expertise that you already have.
Mm,
So, I think there's a lot in there. It's like getting your hands dirty, it's being willing to fail a lot
mhm,
and kind of go through the reps. I talk to everyone around this, like, you got to go through the reps
mm,
and learn. And maybe it's like riding a bike, or maybe it's that 10,000 hours for mastery, but you have to go be willing to go through the reps. And for many people in my age range, I would say, or who have been working for a while, say over a decade, I've been working for a lot longer than over a decade, but if you've been in the workforce for more than 10 years, you may have lost the muscle of learning
mm,
because you were trained to do your job in a certain way, and the world is changing, and the way in which we are working is really changing.
mm.
And to me, I look at that like you, I'm a total optimist, glass half full, so much opportunity, which is so awesome. So that's what I would say about being a builder. And I can share if you're interested, like all the things that I build. But I
I
know
would love to
a
hear
lot
it.
of different.
Share. Our listeners are probably like, please share, please share.
Oh my gosh. Well, at work, I have a whole bunch of different agents and workflows that we are building. Everything from creative to translations to my morning briefing that tells me, like, it gives me literally, like, here's how to prioritize the first hour at your desk. Many of us will resonate with this. We get about 100 newsletters in our inbox every morning. I have a newsletter briefing that will summarize what I need to know and then delete things for me. But then in my personal life too, I built my own personal website using AI. I'm building an app right now for families to build their own family mission, family values, family house rules, family
Mm,
manifesto, which really marries my
love it.
love for marketing and my executive coaching background and bringing that together. So yeah, it's almost addictive how fun it is to tinker and be able to, like, take what's in your head and get it out there. And you can
Mm.
obviously hear my passion in my
I
voice.
love it. I can feel like your energy.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think if we're in the same room, it'd be
I would be opening up my computer and showing you everything.
yeah, exactly. I'd be right there for that. But what I love is, you know, I think that I always say that women of inspiration don't wait for opportunities, they create it. And
Mhm.
you are that creator of bringing visions to life. And, you know, and I can imagine probably turning your computer off for the night, your brain doesn't stop thinking about the next, because that's me exactly. Um, but when you're doing something that you love, it's not work.
Mhm.
Do you agree?
I agree. I agree. I say often there are just not enough hours in the day for all the things I'm crazy about right now, including my family, right? Like, I'm very protective of my family time and the time I spend with my kids, and making sure I'm present in the evenings and on the weekends for them, trying not to travel too much. And then and spending time with my husband, quality time with my husband. So once you stack those priorities, and for me, it's like my health is most important, my family is next, and then work and all of these creative outlets are after that. Once you stack those in building blocks in your calendar, there's not always a whole lot of time for all of these creative outlets, which gets really hard. And I'm sure you and your listeners will resonate with this, that there's just so many cool things to do out there and not enough time to do all of them.
At once.
At once, exactly, exactly at once. So it's prioritization. Um, it's yeah, I think it comes down to really knowing your priorities and who you are, your values, your identity. Like, one of the things that's really important to me is to be generous with my time, even if
Mm.
that is like a little bit of an extra load on me, like pay it forward. So if somebody contacts me for a mentorship call or a reconnection after 5 or 10 years, I really try to book like 2 hours a week so I can
Yeah.
take those kinds of calls. Because I just think it's important because one day I'm going to be on the other end of that. And I have been, right? Like where you're
Mhm.
calling somebody up who is more senior than you, busier than you, and you want them to pick up the phone and take the call.
Yeah.
Uh,
Beautiful.
so yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
No, that's great. I mean, it's a really good reminder of we do have a lot of things that we can share. And, as I shared with you in the green room, we're building the Global Woman of Inspiration Summit and really connecting, so many women, like, 500,000 women plus. It's like a great big mentorship opportunity, right? Because
Mhm.
knowledge and the transfer of knowledge is really that mentorship, right? Where I think about when I grew up, I didn't see visible role models,
Mhm.
right? Not like outside of my grandma, which was a trailblazer, and my mom was, a steady, but women doing cool things and succeeding at a level that you're like, wow, just like mesmerized, right? Like
Mhm.
building billion dollar brands, leading big teams like yourself. Like we didn't get to hear from them or see them. And that wasn't happening when we were growing up. And now we have the opportunity to do that. So that transfer of knowledge is super, super important.
100%. I feel really lucky that I've had the chance to be in some really incredible women's orbits in my career. At Meta, like Sheryl Sandberg was a force. Or, I
Yes.
mean, just a force. And she had a strong, strong point of view on the role of women in the workplace. And that
Hmm.
really shaped me. And we had a VP of sales, Carolyn Everson, like the most wonderful human being in the world. So smart, so kind, so present, so impactful. So I saw
Mm.
her and a mom. And she really was able to kind of not sacrifice her career and be this amazing mom. And one of my former bosses, Jess Jensen, my current boss, Kaya Sainsbury Cartier, like she's amazing. And I see them be these incredible, like building these incredible careers. And but they're not sacrificing their families. Like they are so dialed in with what's important to them and so clear on their values. I think that's the first
Yeah.
principle of like, if you're going to take one thing away from what or if I'm going to take one thing away from what I'm learning from these incredible women, it's that they're very clear on their values and their principles. And that's what leads them. And that's what allows them to move fast through what could feel hard. Moving up in
Mhm.
technology companies, it's hard. Moving up, period, in your career, it's hard.
Mm.
And, but I think you do when you're very clear on what you stand for, it removes a lot of that like self-doubt and self anything, you just stay on that track. And I think that's a really just a really great reflection that I've had in watching those other people.
I love that. I 1,000% agree. I, shared with you before that I built our network on a shared value system
Hmm.
of courage, confidence, commitment, and integrity. Like the values that were at the core of who I am, I wanted to build the foundation of the network to be
Hmm.
alignment. And so that made it really easy when it was to decide to, go after who to partner with. Do the values align, right? And it was always a really values-based decision, even from the get-go when I didn't really, I was building from nothing, right? So values thank you for like bringing that back to the forefront because we watch people doing some really incredible things, and I'm going to be paying more attention now after this conversation about their values,
Yeah, their
right?
values. Exactly.
Yeah, very cool. And I
Exactly.
hope the women are listening because we
I
did a
hope
little
so too.
shout
I'm going to
out
share it with them.
fangirling some incredible women.
Fangirling.
Yep, that's what we're all
Absolutely.
about. Let's, lift each other up. So I want
Definitely.
to talk about, so you first began at Microsoft in the early days of search. Like,
Yes.
what year was that?
That was 2006, the very beginning of 2006.
Oh, like 20 years ago. Okay, so 20
Oh,
years ago,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I
right?
forgot how old I am.
Well, you don't look that old, but just so 2006, because I really didn't know what that date was in the days of search. Like it seems like it's been around forever. Steps, and then you stepped away for nearly 2 decades and you helped shape platforms like Meta and Polygon Labs. And then you returned and you're now in this AI era. And so I guess I'm curious about, that 2 decades that you're away and then coming back now to Microsoft. What did those years away teach you? And what ultimately drew you back to Microsoft?
What a great question. Thank you. I think if I zoom out of my career, I've really spent it betting on different platform shifts. So starting in search, moving to social and mobile with Meta, going to Web3 in a very nascent space, learning a whole new technology, and blockchain is one of the more complicated technologies. And then seeing that where my energy was and the next platform shift was AI. And so
Mm,
what drew me back to Microsoft was the focus, the clear focus at a strategic level on AI and how AI is truly a platform shift. It's a medium shift. It's changing how people are engaging with technology.
mhm,
It's changing all aspects of our lives, and it's coming in different waves to different types of careers and how we interact with our devices and with technology um, and the modalities in which that happens. So I'm really drawn to that on a number of levels. One, I love learning about the technology. I think it's
mhm,
interesting. It's like I genuinely like to understand the nuts and bolts of how things work. But two, I'm probably more drawn to what's happening with people and
mm,
the behavior changes and and now right now people are feeling a lot of excitement, they're feeling fear, they're feeling a range of emotions in between. They're wondering if we're going to have jobs in a couple of years
mhm,
because AI can do everything for us. And then when you add robotics on top of that, it gets potentially really scary. So that's probably like the arc of my career. And what
mhm,
did I learn throughout all of it? I will say I learned a few things at Meta, where I feel like that's where I learned to be a grown up or like a grown-up professional. And honestly, like some of the lessons learned there still run through my blood today. So building things for scale, being like a real systems thinker,
mhm,
the tinkering. So there was a red poster on the wall that said "Move fast and break things." So like the idea of experimentation, and
mhm,
that's not just an engineering thing. And I
mm,
find myself using engineering language with my team today, like let's have a minimum viable product. Let's do these experimentation. Let's have an agile workflow. So things like that, which are very engineering-y,
mhm,
I'm applying into the marketing discipline. So I try to bring that in, and I learned a lot about how do you build for billions of people.
mm,
And then when I went into blockchain, obviously a whole new technology, but I learned actually a lot about my values. I worked for two different companies. In the first company I worked for, I actually resigned after 6 weeks because I was not aligned to how the CEO was running the company.
mm,
And from like a just a moral compliance, those things. And that was a really hard decision
mm,
because I didn't have another job.
mm,
I just decided that I did not want my name and my reputation to be part of this thing that they were building.
mm,
And I decided to leave. And I don't really talk about that very often because it's like a little bit of a gap on my resume.
Hmm.
But I'm also like not afraid when people ask because at the end of the day, it's my values. And I, as a leader in a company, I have responsibilities and I do not want to put my name on things that I don't stand for.
Hmm.
So it's really important to me. And I think I've gotten much clear, like I talked about those other women, I've gotten much clearer on my values since then.
And you know, I think that comes with standing into your power as well, like the
Yeah.
personal experience, the professional experience. Like, I think that's something that we need to talk about as well. It's like you don't like go out of the gate and you're like in your power era. Like
Hmm.
that comes with the failures, that comes with the messy, that comes with the tough decisions that you just make that don't feel right to you. And that all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm here because you've tried, failed, pivot, moved, evolved as a human. And that's why I love the power era so much. It's just, it's about that evolution of who we become
Hmm.
once we go down that road of what we really truly want and own our value.
I love that. Yes. And I think I don't know if you feel the same way, but the older I get, the more I realize how much I don't know. And it's just this like, I don't know, it's like a childlike
Mm,
feeling of, oh wow, and I'm okay with it.
yeah.
Like I'm actually starting to become okay with so many I don't knows because there's so much to know out there that it's hard.
Oh,
You can't know it
we're
all.
in an information overload.
Yeah,
Really, we are.
definitely.
Great questions. Lots and lots of great pieces to gnaw on for our listeners. Okay, so I'm going to dive into, there's a couple ones. Okay, so
Okay.
in the intro, you said that you talk openly about not waiting for permission. And this is really, I love this question so much. So, what
Hmm.
was the defining moment in your career when you realized you need to stop waiting and start leading boldly?
The one that really comes to mind for me, and I don't know if you'll resonate with this, but I think some of your listeners will, is just how much our identities are tied to our workplaces.
Hmm.
And I lo absolutely loved my time at Meta. I formed so many wonderful friendships. I learned an enormous amount. My pace of learning was really fast. Um, but I think I probably stayed there a little bit too long because my pace of learning slowed down and my identity was so tied up in the company that I felt like I couldn't leave.
Mm.
And you know what it took actually? It really it took me being on maternity leave. And it took somebody calling me and saying, I have an opportunity for you, like in a real like sales pitch, like you need to do this. But because I was like disconnected from the workplace because I was on maternity leave, I can't believe I actually gave up 2 months of maternity leave to go to another job. Um, that's neither
So,
here nor
did
there.
that bring it down to 4 months
Yeah, I brought
maternity?
it down to 4 months from six. But I think I needed that space and the realization that I am not my company.
Mm.
And since then, I've had like more of a separation of who I am from my company. And I've been really encouraging the people around me to think about it that way too.
Yeah.
That you are not your company. While you work there, you should do the best work of your life. You should be a great corporate citizen, but you are not your company. And you are allowed to have other points of view, other interests, other things on the side. You should be learning. You should never wait for somebody to tell you to go learn these AI tools. You should go learn them yourself because that's you. That's your value proposition, that's your resume, that's all of those things. So
Mm.
that moment for me, I needed it. I needed to divorce my identity from the company that I worked for.
That's a really important message. I think not just for people in careers working for organizations, but I'm going to say the same perspective if you have your own company. I'm the
Mhm.
face and brand of my company, right? And I'm
Yes.
not alone. If you own a company, your identity is attached to the company.
Hmm.
And sometimes you just want to go on vacation. You know, you don't want to have an opinion on every single thing, right? And so
Yes.
I just had this conversation with someone the other day about that. And, like I like the way you said you just have to divorce your identity sometimes. So I think it definitely applies to, working within an organization. It's just, not waiting for permission. It's just like, kind of almost like you said, divorcing your identity. Like you
Yeah.
don't have to be the brand or you don't have to be the company's brand.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Exactly. We
smart.
are all our own people.
Yeah, we forget about that sometimes. What a great reminder. So I'm going to jump into something that we kind of started in the very beginning
Yeah.
and about the support hers.
Hmm.
And, you were beginning to share a little bit about your support hers that have championed you. And of course, that's a big one for Universal Women's Network is we want to invite men to the conversation that are champions. So not all men, and let's be really clear, not all men are at that level, but I truly do believe that there's a large population of male allies that are champions, but they just haven't been asked. And so who I mean, we don't succeed alone. So, who have been some of those support hers, mentors, and allies that have helped shape your confidence and your leadership along the way?
I love this. Well, I have to shout out my husband first because he thinks I'm the most amazing woman in the world, and I would not be here without him. Like, he is genuinely supportive of all of my crazy ideas and all of my crazy ambition. So, similar to you, have crazy ambition and big dreams. Me too. So, he is here and always in my corner in my fan club. But
And what's
there's
his name?
two. His name's Andrew.
Okay, hello, Andrew. A shout out to Andrew, support her.
Yay. Yes. Um, two stories here. One of my previous bosses, his name is Tom Brown. I remember having a career conversation with him, and I said to him, I want to be a CMO one day. And he said, you could go be a CMO right now if you wanted to. And I'm like, really? So first of all, he believed in me. And then second of all, we worked together to fill in my experience to make sure I had the skills to be a CMO. And he was my manager and he was reorganizing the team and he put me in a role to build my skills around brand, which was
Mm,
an area that I didn't have as much experience in. And I had like 2 or 3 years in that role where I really got to learn it and get my hands dirty and now bring that into
mm.
my current position. So he did those two things. He believed in me and he said something that I still remember like 8 years later. And he allowed me that path. And then the other story is kind of similar. I worked for a person named David Jakubowski. I actually worked for him twice at Microsoft and at Meta. He's a great guy. He's super smart. And I remember him saying to me, Jen, you're already at the top of the mountain. Because what he saw in me was like, maybe I didn't believe in myself, that
Mhm.
I was there. And he believed in me. And he said it to me out loud. And I literally remember that phrase. Those two experiences are like
Mhm.
seared into my brain. And I know because of promotions and opportunities and this and that, that they were talking about me in rooms where I wasn't there.
Beautiful.
So amazing people, and my husband is top of the list.
Those are fantastic examples. And I think, I know myself, I think I'm I love to hear stories like that because I feel like the media has really played men against women for far too long. And I know that there are support hers that exist. We just don't hear enough of these stories of the men behind that, are fighting and talking about us when we're in the room and trying to help us succeed. And I'm over that. I'm like, let's do more of this.
Let's do more of it.
Let's do
Totally.
more of it. Awesome. So now we're on celebrating women. And of course, this is my favorite topic because it is, I believe that when we celebrate women, we give other people permission to see what's possible. And then it allows them to kind of step out and not feel that they're, it just breaks them out of the comfort zone. So, why is it so important, Jen, to celebrate the achievements of women, especially in industries such as the one that you're in right now, where women's voices are still unrepresented?
I think it very simply comes down to the business. Like it's genuinely a business equation. When you have diverse and inclusive companies that hear voices, including women's, women are typically head of household, have the most purchasing power, et cetera, et cetera. We are the ones making decisions in the household. 51% of the world, I think, is women. So you have to build products and services for everyone. And if it's weighted too heavy on a male voice or any specific, segment, you're just not going to do that. So you have to celebrate women. You have to make sure their voices are heard in a very equal way. Um, and and if you're looking for rationale for why to do it, there's a real business reason to do it.
Yeah.
Women are buying the most stuff. So if you want to sell your products, women are the decision makers and you need to understand them. And then internally in the company, you need to listen to them because the women are like your perfect focus group for understanding.
Mm.
So I just think this is I sometimes am like, why are we still having this conversation? Because it's so obvious to me. My husband says all of the time, like, why are women not in all of the government roles? Because we wouldn't have so many wars around the world if women were running the show. And I do not disagree with him because of how, and this is not man bashing. I'm not trying to
No, we're
point
supporters of
out
men.
that I am 100%. That's not where I'm really going. It's more like we need to have more equity in all of these different kinds of roles and industries that are maybe heavily weighted towards men.
Yeah. And at all levels too, we see
Mhm.
women, we need to see more women in powerful positions, but then we also need to acknowledge the roles that are the supporting roles that support the leaders in positions of power and the importance of those supporting roles as well. And I never like to forget about those roles because without that, the kind of the building structure doesn't happen, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly, exactly. I couldn't agree with you more.
beautiful. So I'm going to ask a question about imposter syndrome, just because I know that interviewing so many women, um, you know, I'm being celebrated. Like there's this imposter syndrome, like I'm not ready. Or have you ever felt that imposter syndrome? Have you rose through your
Yes,
levels?
100%. Like, and it shows up in weird ways where I remember when I'm called the CMO of Microsoft Advertising, and sometimes I will introduce myself as like head of marketing. And instead of like CMO, like, so yes, 100%. It shows up all the time. And I it's maybe showing up a little bit less lately as I get older. Because I think I just care less. I don't know.
Hmm.
But I like the way I am built from the inside is I am a type 3 on the Enneagram, which is the achiever. And part of that personality type, if you will, is I do care what other people think.
Hmm.
And it matters to me. My relationships really matter to me. Um, And so that imposter syndrome is like definitely a very loud voice in my head, and it can be.
Mm. I'm a three as well, the achiever. Run through my blood, and I can just relate to actually, there's a Substack coming out where I say, I used to want to please everybody. And now
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't care if I'm not your cup of tea because I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine because I'm going to go with the people that that I
Yes,
am their cup of tea, right? Like you give a little bit less when you're in your power era. You care a little less about the opinions of others.
yes, that's
And the
right.
more that you do, and the more rooms or the experiences that you put yourself into build the experience and the
Exactly.
confidence.
Exactly.
And then the imposter syndrome kind of gets kicked to the curb.
Hmm. And I do some self-coaching with myself too. Like, do I actually have evidence to support the imposter syndrome? Or do I have evidence of the opposite? So I really try to say what a coach would say to me, which is like, what evidence do you have that you shouldn't be in this
Mm.
particular role or this particular room? And when you ask that question to yourself, it usually it goes away.
So I'm hoping all the listeners are writing down this little mantra that they're going to put on their mirror that says, what evidence
Exactly.
says
What
that?
evidence?
Look at that every day.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So I want to be cautious of our time here. We're just coming up on our time, but I do have a couple questions. And I vowed that this year was going to be about not just talking about all of the successes. I really do believe that, that authenticity is really important, that we have to talk about the messy middle. And that's actually, I love talking about the messy middle. But people often see the success, but they don't see the struggle behind it. So, was there ever a moment when they look at you as a CMO of a great big, like Microsoft in your role there, have you doubted or questioned your path and what has helped you move through it? Because this is pure gold from a woman that has achieved so much to somebody listening on the other side going, like I'm in the messy middle right now. How did she get through it?
Yeah, I think the example I'll share is over the last starting in 2023, my dad got really sick and he passed away right when I was starting this job. And then a year later, then my mom got really sick for a year. And I will say I think a lot of your listeners will resonate with having young kids and having aging parents who are sick, and that is what people call the sandwich generation. It
Mm-hmm.
is so challenging that I felt like I was failing in every aspect of my life. Where am I fail? I'm failing. I'm not spending enough time with my kids. I'm being a bad daughter because I can't actually take care of my mom very well. Work is suffering. And I'm really grateful to my colleagues around me because they were so supportive throughout all of it. I had to
Mm-hmm.
leave business trips early. They were there to listen, people who have been through it before, and supported me when I needed to take some time during all of it. But I like that's where I felt like, am I just not able to do all of this? And I think I had to go back and really say to myself, like, this is a season. This is a season. And now that I'm on the other side of it, of course, I miss my parents so much. But I think maybe I'm stronger because of it. And I've realized I can really, really do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I also really leaned into my priorities. Like I hate to say this, but like work was at the bottom because I was focused on my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I was focused on my family. And even though I was not doing the best job with that, but it did make me question, am I on the right path?
Mm-hmm. That's very honest and relatable. I think that a lot of listeners can really relate to that because we have to shift the priorities. And yeah, I can relate. I'm in that sandwich generation and it's a
Yeah.
season. It's a season. So thank you for sharing.
Welcome.
You're welcome. So I had all sorts of great big long questions. We're just going to have to do it again, or you're just going to have to, yes, we're going to have to do it again.
Amazing.
I would like to talk about how we can ensure that more women have opportunities and, probably one of the biggest tech, shifts of our lifetime. So, you know, what can you say to those listeners that might be, younger women that want to start a career? What advice would you give them?
There are two main pieces of advice that I think are the most important right now. Number one is learn how to use these tools. Like, go find a problem that you have that's a personal thing that you want to figure out and build something on the side. I will tell all of your listeners, I ask in every single interview, what are you building or what have you built? I want real examples. I want people to be able to break down the problem, tell me the insight they had, even if it's the insight about themselves, all the things they're building. So I think it's really important. And I think roles are going to start to shift depending on what industry you're in, but they're going to start to
Mhm.
shift to this builder mentality. Like, everyone can build things, you should be able to do it too. That's number one. Number two is have a point of view on something. Like, we are all experts in something. I don't care if you just graduated from college, you are passionate about something and you've gone deep on something or many things. So have a point of view. And
Mhm.
honestly, if you are in from a younger generation, like Gen Z or Gen Alpha, you should be teaching everyone else who is older than you the ways of the world. Like, you are in it. You are you are native on technology, you're native on how you communicate with your peers. So you definitely have a point of view. Formulate that point of view in a really clear and articulate way and storytell it. Like, learn how to storytell it so that when you get in the rooms where you could potentially get a job or work with someone, you stand out. You're not
Mm.
just your degree or the last job that you had. You're actually like, this is who you are. And I will tell you, I just did this recently because I am a builder. I decided I am like doing a full positioning on Jen Kattula. And of course, I'm a marketer, so I do it the marketing way, like positioning, pillars, etc. But I did it and I built my personal website, and there it is. It's out in the world now because I wanted to say to the world, I have a unique value proposition to offer, which is, and of course I have a job now, but I'm a builder who's a marketer, and that's unique. So I really encourage people to figure out what their point of view is and learn how to story tell about themselves.
I love it. So there's lots of listeners. So if you have a daughter or a son or, somebody that is in transition, that's such a great message.
Yeah,
And of course, we'll add in where they can find you in jenkatula.com.
jenniferkatula.com.
Jennifer,
Yes.
yes, jenniferkatula.com. Or on LinkedIn, I'm
Or
sure they'll
LinkedIn.
be able
Yes,
to
of
connect
course.
up with you. So thank you. I'm so excited. I do have just a couple rapid fire, and it wouldn't be a
Of
Woman of
course.
Inspiration podcast without asking you what your definition of a woman of inspiration is.
A boss, like somebody who is has big dreams and is just going to do them and is also nice, like
Right.
like a nice human being, nice and kind, um, and real and authentic.
Mm, mm, beautiful.
Yeah.
Boss, real, authentic, check, and kind. Beautiful. An app you can't live without.
Let's see. I'm really into Claude right now and can't seem to stop on Claude. Um, and TikTok. I just started my TikTok. So,
Oh,
like, not that long ago. And it's been a really fun creative outlet for me to yap at the camera. You're never too old to start a TikTok.
never told. I tried some dancing. I'm just not a dancer. Well, I do dance well, but I don't know. Yeah, it's finding your flavor on TikTok for sure is interesting.
Exactly. Finding your flavor.
Yeah. And a book you're currently reading or one that you love that you can share with our listeners, because of course we have a book club.
Oh, amazing. I have been reading a series by Tana French. She's an Irish author and she has a series. I read two. I'm on the third one in the series called The Keeper. It's based in a small Irish town called Ardnakelty, and it's about an American who moves to this like tiny Irish village, and there's a couple mysteries in it. So I won't give it all away, but it's good, and it's if you liked books that describe the landscape,
Mm.
it's so good. It's so good.
Makes you want to book a ticket, right?
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Cool. And that's about it. And daily non-negotiable.
Daily non-negotiable. Time with my family. Like many hours daily non-negotiable with my family.
And the last one is a woman that inspires you, which
Oh, I mean, I already talked about my mom, who is the self-named president of my fan club. Um, and the next person is probably my sister. She's cut from
mm,
the same cloth, and we're like besties. We're just best friends. We do visioning, and we do like quarterly visioning sister dates where we like write down our vision and reflect on our vision. It's super fun. And of course, we talk about beauty all day long.
beautiful. Well, it has been an absolute joy to have you on the Women of Inspiration podcast, Jennifer. And I really do look forward to the journey ahead. And I hope that our listeners found absolutely lots of value from our conversation today. And so, listeners, the job is here. So, you enjoy this podcast. I'm going to tell you to share it widely. It's called mass mentorship here. This is a class of mentorship that just happened. And if you want to get a hold of Jennifer, jenniferkattula.com or find her on LinkedIn. But Jennifer, any last words for our listeners before we go to the weekend?
No, yeah, just get out those AI tools and start playing around.
Well, thank you again, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you, listeners, and we'll see you on the next time at the Woman of Inspiration podcast.
Thank you so much.
All right.